I'm giving up. Hi, welcome to this video. I'm going to be talking about my reading process, like what I'm going to be doing with my reading in 2026. And to keep it short, I'm giving up. I'm giving up on setting lofty goals for myself that I then feel pressure to achieve. I'm giving up on comparing myself to other readers just to feel like a reader. I'm giving up on feeling like I'm in a race when this is the hobby that brings me the most joy, and feeling like I'm not enough because I'm not reading enough, because I'm not reading well enough, because I'm not um, diversifying enough, whatever. I am giving up on putting this unnecessary and undue pressure on myself. Don't get me wrong. I believe that it is great to have goals. It's great to have a structured plan for how you're going to do things. But I feel like over the past few years, we've lost the plot. Like collectively as a community, a lot of us seem to have lost the plot. And I'm counting myself in those people. I set some goals for myself. I usually achieve them, and a lot of times I surpass those goals. I usually set a reading goal of about 1 to 3 books per month. I think last year's reading goal was 36 books per month. The year before that, it was 24 books. And I think the year before that, it was 12. I might be wrong. I don't remember it exactly. But I usually achieve those reading goals. And then I try to overshoot those reading goals by a lot. There have been years when I've read 60 books in 1 year. And last year, in 2025, I read 53 books. At first, my target was hitting my 36 book goal, which is a lot of books, man. I'm no longer the child who used to have all this time on her hands and who used to devour those books like anything. I'm now an adult. I've got like 10 things going on in my head at any given time, and 20 things and responsibilities going on in my life at any given time. So it's just not fair to expect myself to be devouring books at the same pace as I could as a child, and that does not make me a formerly gifted child. Maybe it does, but that does not make me somebody who peaked in middle school or something like that. Okay, this is something that I need to remind myself of, and if you need the reminder as well, well, this is it. So last year, when I was trying to read, at first I was trying to achieve my 36 book target, and then it was me seeing if I could hit 40. Then I tried a reading challenge for myself. I wanted to hit 48 books, and then I wanted to hit 50 books, and then I crossed 52, and I was like, "Oh, can I do 54?" The answer was no. I did 53 books, and that is a lot of books. That's an ungodly number of books. I know that there are people who manage to read much more than me, and that is totally cool. I used to be a faster reader. When I was a kid, I used to read like 100 pages an hour. I am not that fast anymore. I can maybe do 60 pages an hour, and that's when I'm completely focused. When I'm picking up a new book and I'm just getting introduced to the characters or the magic system or the new world or universe that the book is set in, I'm a slower reader. And that's all fine, because this is not a competition. This is just me and my enjoyment of books and stories, or me trying to learn something, since I've now started reading non-fiction books as well. And this is the thing, right? Whenever I read a non-fiction book, I am not obsessing over how quickly I read it. I am not worried about how many pages I'm doing a day, or if I can, finish it quickly. I am more focused on understanding and taking in the information. And if it is a non-fiction book that requires me to do some internal work, like this one particular book I'm reading right now that requires me to be at peace with certain things and then process it and then move forward. So I am waiting, I am processing, I'm doing the work. And that book's probably gonna have a reading time of a good few months. And somehow I'm okay with that. But when it comes to reading all of these, the fiction books that I usually read, I'm beating myself up for not reading enough, for not being fast enough, for not reading quick enough. So I'm giving up on doing all of that. I'm letting go of these habits that I formed that in no way contribute to my growth or my enjoyment of a book. These things are just going to burn me out eventually, and it's better that I can identify them and try to not do them than to keep doing them in search of something which I don't even know what it is, and then burn out and then just stop enjoying this hobby of mine. Let me make something clear. I'm a very big proponent for having goals, having plans for how you're going to do things, for having a reading plan, a list of books that you want to read, for having a system, for having a target, for everything. That's all great as long as it is serving you. But me trying to read every single unread book that I own in a year just because I want to show somebody that I'm a great reader, I'm a great person, I'm on top of my reading game. That's not fair. I don't even believe in this thing. I believe that having a good book collection means having unread books on it, and then having books that when you're in need of certain something and you know that okay, this story is about this thing, I can pick it up right now, this is something that I would connect with at the moment. Having that and going up to that shelf and being able to pick it out is something that matters to me. Growing up, I did not have bookshelves. I had a study table. For most of my life, my study table was full of my study materials, right? Like everyone's is. And then slowly there was one section that had fiction books in it. And slowly that moved from one small section to being the biggest section in the bookshelf. And then I started working and I had a job and everything, and I did not have all those study materials anymore. And slowly I had my own money and I started purchasing more books. And then it was the study table that I've had since I was 9 being full of books. And then there was this wish to display them, to be able to see them at a glance instead of having them 3 rows deep in one bookshelf, study table in one shelf in one cupboard. And then there was um that's how this grew, that's how things grew, that's how I've become who I am today. And I was not in the most high paying job in the world. I got these on EMI, and it was amazing and it was wonderful. This particular bookshelf I've had modified because I wanted a big bookshelf, but they didn't have one that was covered. So this particular section is I've had to add this glass, like we called a carpenter, and then we had this glass installed because it was open. But in India there's so much dust, and I live near right next to a place where there's a lot of construction going on. There was no way in hell my books were surviving, right? I've done all this and I've done all of this for a reason. And just because I'm seeing everybody else passing me in a race that I've made up in my head, it's just no longer a good enough reason for me to also enter into that race. It doesn't exist anywhere except in my head. No one cares except for the brain goblin in my head telling me I'm not good enough. And I'm not interested in chasing that goblin and proving to him that I'm good enough anymore. I know that. So here are some things that I'll be doing in this year. Um, First of all, this is a little terrifying, okay? And I've already crossed it. But this year, my reading goal is going to be one book. I can't set it any lower than that, I think. Um, so I'm going to set a reading goal of one book this year. I've already read 2 books, all right? And they were Percy Jackson books. So please, no one should compare themselves to me now and feel like they're behind or something. But I've set a reading goal of one book, and now I'm free. Every single book that I read now is going to be an addition to that. So hopefully there'll not be, or I'll be able to manage that voice in my head that keeps telling me that I need to read more, that I need to finish this reading goal, that I need to cross this reading goal, and then I need to test how much. I can literally show you that I have this notebook where I plan out my videos, right? And I was making some TBR lists or something, and I kept on adding books to it. And then at one point I wrote, this was I think in October, okay? And I wrote down that I ideally want to read 36 more books before the year ends. It took me 10 months to read 36 books, and then suddenly there was a voice in my head like, do better, do better, do better. It's not humanly possible for me. Like I said, there are other people who can do that, and that is wonderful. and that's great. But that's their life. I can't compare it with mine. So the first thing that I'm doing is keeping a reading goal of one book for the year. Secondly, I am still going to be logging my reading and keeping up my stats. I have somehow managed to have a reading streak of 100 and something days. I think it should be 104 days at this point if I manage to read something today. I am not going to overexert myself trying to keep that streak up. Like, there are days when you simply have no time, you don't even have the energy, you crawl into bed with a book, but you're not able to read even a single page. So, I'm not going to force myself to do that anymore, but I'm also not going to break the streak for no reason. I'm going to try to read as much, like for as many days in a row as I can, because that's just a cute little thing, that's a fun little thing that's happening, but I'm not going to overexert myself over it. Thirdly, I this is not a book buying ban. I am going to be going to the World Book Fair next week, this week, tomorrow. Oh, damn. I'm going to go to the World Book Fair day after tomorrow, but I am not gonna purchase every shiny book that I see. But I am going to be intentional that after this book fair, I don't purchase any books. It's gonna be difficult, and this is something that I wanted to do last year as well, but there were moments of weakness where I was just having so many bad days in a row that I ended up impulse purchasing some books, and that is the issue, right? So I'm not gonna be hard on myself if something like that happens again, but I'm just going to try to be more intentional about it. So that's another thing that I hope to do. Like I said, I have a lot of 100 books on my shelves. I want to go through all of these books with you guys once and maybe come up with a plan on how I'm going to read those, or maybe not. I do want to get through all of them eventually, but I'm not going to force myself to overconsume books. Um, Another thing that I'm going to be doing this year is I will be trying to read the chonky books that I've got. So there are certain books on my shelves that are well over 500, 600, 800 pages. I've honestly been terrified of those books. I've been scared that they may put me into a reading slump. I've been scared that they'll take too long to read and therefore slow me down on my reading goal. I've just been scared of them in general, okay? Reading a 600-page story is a lot of emotional investment. Um, and honestly, you know what? Reading a book like that requires you to slow down and be intentional and pay attention to what you're reading, because it's not a 300-page thing where you can skim through it and not pay attention and then just check it off your list, which I have been guilty of doing with some books in the past. So this year I will be picking up books like that. Full disclosure, just yesterday I started The Secret History. I'm still terrified of that book. I think it is close to 600 and something pages. I am scared, but I'm gonna do it scared. There's no target to achieve, there's no goal holding me back. And yes, if I feel like there are more 100 books on my shelves that I could have finished in that time, then I just need to tell myself, hey, you wanted to pick up a dark academia book in the hazy, cold, freezing winter season, and you're doing that. So don't let this fear of not reading enough, not doing enough, not being enough stop you from something that you wanted to do and you enjoy doing. And yeah, it's difficult changing, you need to be really, really specific, and you need to keep reminding yourself, because it's easy to let the brain goblin be the loudest voice in your head and to just give in and listen to him and panic. So we are being intentional. We're not going to let that happen anymore, okay? And finally, one of the things that I'm going to be doing this year is the shelf therapy book challenge, reading challenge. It's by this one user on Instagram. I'll like put her over here. So this is a year-long reading challenge, and there are 12 prompts. I'm gonna make a video and I'm gonna talk about all of my picks. There is one prompt that I haven't yet found a book for, which is a translated work. So if you have any recommendations for any translated books, please let me know or drop them down in the comments. So you can DM me on Instagram, whatever. And I hope I can find something that fits that prompt from the book fair, because that would be really cool. I don't think I own any translated books. I'm not 100% sure on this one. But yeah, so the thing I like about this reading challenge is that it's a 12 book reading challenge throughout the year, which seems so achievable. It's not forcing me to chase down some impossible goal or something. It's very like calming and cozy, and I love that. And I love that for this year, for the things that I'm trying to do, for the things that I'm trying to achieve. And finally, there's one more thing that I'm gonna do is that there are some books that I want to annotate, and I haven't been picking those up either, because I keep telling myself that if I slow down and annotate, I won't be able to read as fast, and then I won't have read as many books. Why? I have wanted to read the right here, the Raven Boys series, the quartet, for 2 to 3 years at this point, and I just know that I'm gonna enjoy that series. And because I know I'm gonna enjoy it, I want to annotate it. And like, yeah, it's 4 books, that's one thing. But the other thing is that I know that I'll slow down if I annotate, and I don't wanna slow down. And that's been holding me back from reading those. Like, why? Sometimes we really get in our own head about things and make up all of these. And it's honestly, I can't even blame myself, because this is the kind of competitive world that we've grown up in. And especially as somebody in India, where you have a very competitive entrance examination, even just to pursue a higher education or for every single thing. It's nice to know that in real life, there are things that I can have without it being a rat race, and there are things that I can enjoy without quantifying my achievement. It's a great achievement to have read 53 books in one year. There'll always be people who'll have read 153 books. Heck, there might be people who've read 500. And the moment I compare, the moment I feel short, I feel like I fall short. I am short though. Don't let the camera placement trick you. Anyway, and I am giving up on the notion that I need to be the best at something to be good enough. Okay. So, yeah, that was my little 2026 approach to reading. And that was just me saying that I'm giving up. Like like Candace Flynn in that one Phineas and Ferb song where she sings, I gave up. So, yeah. Okay, side note, this is not a beauty channel, but the Faye Lip Whip in Revenge, and then the Berry Juicy Lip Gloss from Rude Cosmetics in Code Red. And I'm gonna try to do project pan on this lip gloss right here somehow.